right, guys. Welcome to the first Shepherds of Men podcast. I am O. That's JP, Wilson, and Cam. Basically, my background, my name is Chris O'Dneal, better known as O, as like I said before. My background, I work for sales in one of the largest entertainment companies in the world. My passion is I love coaching, man. I love seeing people see themselves get better. You know, whether that's in sports, whether that's in business, sales, whatever it is, man. Relationship advice, I don't know if I can give that, but, you know, sometimes people ask for it, so I give it to them unsolicited.
Nicely said.
I mean, yeah, you know, but yeah, that's my passion. I love seeing people see themselves get better. Even if I'm not involved, it's still cool to see, you know. Mm-hmm. About you, JB? What do you got?
Yeah, so, Josh Persons, also known as JP. Legal name is Josh Persons. So my background's in the engineering field. Been doing that for several years. And to be honest with you, my passion, I mean, outside of my hobbies, is really I found the value in mentorship. Found the value in finding what good looks like and trying to emulate. There's no need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to kind of what we're going to talk about in this podcast. There's a lot of successful men out there that have really emulated what it is to be a man. And that's essentially what we're going to talk about. We're gonna talk about certain aspects of that, and I'm pumped about that. That's what I'm really passionate about. I'm passionate about men taking ownership in their domains and really ruling their domains like they're supposed to be. As a man, I feel like there's a responsibility, and I don't care if that's as a citizen of the country or a father to children or a husband to your wife. You know, there's a responsibility that you have, and we live in the greatest country on this planet, and I don't make any bones about that. I fully believe that.
That's why we're in the USA shirt.
The reason that we live in the greatest country on this planet is because we have some of the greatest men that have ever lived that had created this country. So I'm a firm believer in that. I am unwavering on that, and I am not willing to lose it. So I found some other men that I could run with that we could kind of pass that on to the rest of the country. So, Wilson, why don't you introduce yourself, buddy?
Awesome. My name's Chris Wilson. Everybody calls me Wilson. And my background, don't do that. I'd rather be the Wilson off of Castaway.
Wilson. You'd rather be a volleyball?
You'd rather be a ball.
Oh, a ball.
Well,
yeah.
You know, okay. I have them, so might as well. But my name,
are they the same size as the volleyball? Because that's got to be uncomfortable.
No, not all the time.
You got to wear like an upside down hoodie to walk.
3 or 4 days, maybe, but just check with the wife on that one. So, but we're very passionate about what we do. We love each other as brothers, and my main passion and goal in life is just to honor the Lord Jesus Christ. That's my personal belief, not pushing anything on anybody, but that's what I believe in, and be proud of the man of the mirror. And I also love to give that back to the person who's given that to me. There's a lot of men in my life, not necessarily directly father figures, but definitely people that I've been able to piece different pieces of what they did good to become the man I am today. And I have a lot of people to thank for that, which is too much of a list for right now. But I've been in sales for a little over 10, 15 years, very good at it. I like working with people. My passion truly is probably people more than anything. I love people and love seeing people get better, just like what these guys were talking about. And I feel like it is our responsibility as men to help other men be men and not be pussies. Period. Ian,
still my catch line.
Just pulled it right from you there,
sorry.
dude.
That was my branding. I was going to build this whole foundation on that.
Dang, sorry. But I've heard that, but it is.
Are you allowed to say Jesus Christ and pussy in the same sentence?
I'd say so.
That works.
I don't think so.
I don't care. You judge me if you want. But so the thing is that I'm all about just being better and stretching other people to be better. Yeah. And if I lived, and my thing is your dash matters, man. You were born, you die. All right, what matters is what you did between. And I want to be remembered for something great. And I think that when we all got together, and we'll talk about that in a little bit later, is that we have a mission here to rectify men. I think a lot of men are just not, standing up to what they're supposed to be. And that's one of my passions here recently.
Yeah,
for sure. And I am Cameron Brown, and everybody's calling me Cam because it's shorter and easier, and people are just lazy. But the truth of the matter is, man, this is 4 guys that really have a heart for this country. They have a heart for their families. They have a fart. Sometimes we get gas, but it just depends on what we eat. But we came together, and we're going to tell that story in a little bit. And you're going to hear some similarities in our beliefs, obviously, or we wouldn't be sitting here together. and you're going to hear some passion, and we're not going to hold back on that. But today we wanted to just really kind of say hello and introduce ourselves, because I know a lot of people are wondering who we are, what we're about. Simply the bio for me, I grew up in a small town in Mississippi. I always tell people that when you start out in Mississippi, like, you can't really go farther back than that unless you're from Arkansas. So, you're going to be mentally tough regardless. You don't have any choice. And I grew up, working hard and doing the whole thing, like I think a lot of us did. I was privileged, and honestly, I think at this table, probably more than the other three, privileged to have a great example of a father and a man in my life. I learned a lot of great characteristics from, and forever blessed for that. He's still one of my heroes to this day. Pops, I love you. If you're listening to this, I know you will. But then I kind of got away from that, got away from positive male influence, and started doing my own thing and doing a lot of dumb shit. And like most people, went to college and spent a lot of money to make bad decisions. And started, going through, that whole deal and corporate life and blah, 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 blah. And then I realized one day that I was meant for more. I was meant for greatness. I wasn't meant to just survive and make it to the end of my life and not do anything impactful. And I had the chance to be around some incredible mentors and entrepreneurs and people that are just doing life at a big level, and kind of hitched myself to their wagon. And that was years ago. And now it's brought this together, I believe, has initiated these relationships. And we'll talk about how that all came together. But professionally, actually, my number one job is husband. My number two job is father. And then during the day, I have to do some other things to make a bunch of cash, because we like having money and choices and resources, not only for our own lifestyle, but for helping other people. We believe that rich is better than poor. You can believe however you want to believe. But I'm going to make a lot, and I'll give you some if you don't make any, as long as you're not a bitch. And the way that we all came together, truthfully, through some entrepreneurial relationships, Chris and I had an opportunity to meet through a couple of people. We've been working together for about 10 years now. Over that now, I guess. And kind of a friend of a friend situation. We were working on some other entrepreneurial opportunities. Through that, Chris, during that time, Chris met JP. I should call you Wilson. I know that's your cool name. He met JP.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I remember talking to JP the first time was 4, 5, 6 years ago, whenever it was. And the night that we were on the phone in my old place, I told you I'm going up there to meet this guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
And now it's weird because I didn't know you at all. And now we're tight, and it seems like we've been brothers for a long time. Through family, actually, is how we all got to know O. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Because sisters from another misters or whatever. Yeah. Cousins. Yes.
They're cousins.
Cousins.
Yeah.
So
okay. we married into the
y'all married into
Garrett.
Oh Lord,
God bless you.
We should have
so they were strong.
like a
They were
caution
strong
sticker,
anyway.
right?
Yeah,
Like a
you're
warning.
right. They do come with one.
So
You get one?
it became
I
this.
didn't mind peel them off. I guess.
It became this connection that I think really none of us really expected, but it was very natural and organic, and we've done some different really amazing things over the years, and now we're coming together to do what we believe will be the most amazing thing, and with the purpose of going out and impacting men, because we understand and we realize that there is a freaking weakness, and we all have sons.
Yeah.
And we feel a responsibility to raise our kids and specifically our sons the right way. And I think we can do it all better together than we can by ourselves. So that's who we are. That's Shepherds of Men. And we're ready to kick ass, take names. And I don't know what else we're going to talk about, but it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be fun. It's going to be in your face, and you're going to love it. And you're going to come back next time.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
Essentially, Shepherds. The idea Shepherds of Men started in a restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, we all. So I mean,
You texted us
started there.
first.
Yeah. So
actually,
I was moving
I
into
was
a new
late to the
role.
party on this.
Yeah, I was moving into a new role.
Yeah,
I
you
was
were.
going from a hands-on tech role into a sales manager sales role, and I knew I had to strengthen that mindset from an hourly union position to a managerial, not commission based almost. So I knew I had to. So I bought several books that I had seen are really really good as far as strengthening mindset, and I reached out a couple of my broskies. Guys I considered not just friends, but brothers for sure, that would help me stay accountable to making sure I strengthen my mindset. So I reached out to Josh and Chris and was like, hey man, can you guys keep me accountable to read these 3 books in 2 weeks? Because I was starting the position in 2 weeks. I'd taken 2 weeks off to prepare. Because I didn't want to just start and like fizzle in. Like I wanted to kick the door down and make an impact in because like I said, some people get better. So I wanted to kick the door in, start strong, and just and maintain a decent impact in that arena. So we ended up after that, I mean, it was like the same day or like a day later, you would text back, Wilson, saying, "Yeah, well, you guys want to get together Friday? We should do this more often. We should go have lunch and we should do this all the time." It was almost like a book club, is what you told Candy.
No, it's really cool
Like
though,
Oprah,
because a lot of people.
way better looking.
Yeah.
Maybe a little better, not that good.
But that's cool. I mean, most people don't reach out for that kind of stuff, and it was cool. But
And then
you
we
could
were
tell
included in that.
That's but that's where that brotherhood came from. That Cameron was kind of talking about. That's where it ties in, right? You know, it's one of those things
Who's
where it's
Cameron?
like, if I want to be great, or if I want to get better every day, who can I reach out to that's genuinely going to hold me accountable? And be honest with me, because mentorship isn't coddling or powdering your ass.
Right.
It is not.
Mentorship is a matter of
It's in your face.
You suck.
Yeah.
Get your shit together.
It's like a coach grabbing your face mask. It's like, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of guys need nowadays. And
Although if you do mentholatum powder, that can have the same shocking effect as a fist in the face. I'm just throwing that out there.
is it like a
depends on
menthol?
what kind of powder. Yeah, it's
I'm not
like,
sure.
if it's
I've
like
got
a mint
icy hot on
powder.
my balls before, but
Same thing, except it's powder and not cream.
oh, nice.
my
Okay.
gosh.
All right. Well,
That's
Stay
legit.
away from
so
that.
we need to stay away from that. I use
Yes.
okay,
Smelling
never mind.
salts.
So that's a whole other story. So, anyways, but it was cool though, because you knew we were going to be honest with you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there's never been a time you guys haven't, when I needed it, you guys always told me what I needed to hear. Like when I reached out, yo, dude, I mean, there were times, when that all that stuff went out with Eric, dude, I called you at like 10:30 at night. You guys drove to freaking an hour away from your home,
No.
and it was, and then you sat there until midnight. I was like, man, we're still waiting on a freaking ambulance, But you did that, like, man, it was crazy because I was gonna kill somebody on that mess.
I didn't even think about it.
Different part of the story. And I was like, I need Josh there because I think he's the only one strong enough who's going to be able to hold somebody, hold me back.
Yeah.
But different story on that. We'll talk about that in a time.
I was thinking about that. Dana was like, "Are you guys gonna like go kill somebody?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to hold Chris back."
That's all I needed, man.
That's what's gonna do.
Yo, I don't. That was that's.
Well, to get back
Those
on
are growing
top.
That's it. I'm back on top. Yeah.
Yeah.
thanks.
Seriously, though.
Seriously, guys.
Yeah,
Seriously,
seriously.
guys.
So
Thanks,
just for the record, Wilson is going to be our seriously though, guys.
Yeah, he keeps on track.
He's going to be
Trying to
the
keep
one that
everybody
pulls
on
us
track.
back in because all of us can get on rabbit trails and get excited.
We had actually been talking for 4 hours before you guys got on
Hey,
here.
right.
Yeah.
That's
In
legit.
short, though,
That's
to get back
legitimate.
to get back on track, it was. I knew I can count on the 3 minute this table anytime.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron will take a little longer to get there, but I could count on Cameron anytime I need you guys.
Right. And for
Oh,
the
it's
record,
just because I live further away. Just
Yeah,
And
that's
it.
what I was gonna
That's
say.
it. Yeah, he's not
No,
slow.
it's
It
like,
takes
the
a
hell
long
does
time
that
to get
mean?
ready.
Yeah. The reason
It's
why
just because he lives an hour and a half away.
yeah, the reason
make
why
up.
Cam wasn't on that original text is because he's not local. So,
Right, and that is the only reason. But it was because I knew I could count on you guys. I've got friends, dude, and again we've talked about that. Friends is such a cheap word. We can focus on that later too. A friend is such a cheap word. Everyone puts I have so many friends, dude. But how many will drive to the hospital at damn near 12 at night because your son's been hurt real bad and you need someone there to be like, don't kill this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, that's the kind of
I
stuff
don't have
we're here to
anybody like
talk
that
about
except you
because
guys.
I think so many people have never experienced that, and honestly, not only haven't experienced it, but don't even know to do it.
yeah,
Right?
There's not even an example.
Because I mean, what does that really do? What did Josh really do? Did he help physically? No. Is he a doctor? No. But
No.
you knew he was there, right?
yeah.
And that's kind of that's I believe the feeling that brought this together was little shit like that is the stuff that matters ultimately, and there's not enough boys out there that are becoming men that understand that, like, when a brother needs a brother, you're supposed to show up. It doesn't matter what time it is, doesn't matter where it is. That's just what you do.
Yep.
Why? Are you going to heal him? No, I'm not going to heal him. I'm just going to make my boy feel good.
That's
You
right.
know?
Yep.
Right? So
So that
So I reached out on text message. Chris was like, "Hey, let's have lunch and talk about some of the books we're reading." I think everybody got back on track. Definitely had a more aggressive reading schedule after that.
Sure.
And then we met at lunch. The conversations were awesome. Very along the lines of the conversations we'll talk about here.
oh yeah.
Wilson, you could probably elaborate on that more. I think you tell that version of the
I
story
want to know
better
what you
than I
guys
do.
ate
No,
because I wasn't
we.
there.
I mean,
Farmhouse
I enjoyed
talks.
it. I think
What
that
was
when you reached
Farmhouse
out, though,
talks.
I was in my mindset of I wanted some accountability too in my life, and I do have some accountability with Cameron and some other folks that we roll with, and we do business ourselves. And but the cool thing is when you sent that out, it was just the right time.
Yeah.
And we all sat down, we started eating, we started talking about what was going on, what our past. We kind of not been disconnected, but kind of in certain realms that we wanted to hash out. We did, and just had some great conversations. And then we started talking about what's on our mind. what's going on? What are you dealing with?
Yeah.
And we all shared, and then it ended up with Josh at the end of it saying, "Man, God's got something on my heart, and I don't know what to do with it." Basically,
And left it at that.
Summarized.
And we were just sitting there like,
he stopped. He paused.
Yeah, so it was heavy, and it did involve Cam, and that was the reason I didn't want to say anything yet, because it hadn't come to fruition yet. Like I
didn't know that part.
We had spoke, yeah. So we had
I
spoke.
didn't know you were thinking that.
We had spoke, but my biggest thing was I didn't necessarily need the accountability, but I was sick of being silent. At that point in my life, I was sick of being silent. And I feel like it was a time, there was something heavy on me that it was time to move. We need to do something because our society as a whole needed somebody to speak up. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that nobody's doing it, but there's very few that are.
Right.
And I think that's the first step to losing everything that's great is to sit back on your heels. Yeah, you got to play.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to play life offensively. So when we were sitting there, for me, it was more of, instead of accountability, there was a pissed side to me. I was stuck in a situation where I was just sitting there going, I'm called to do more. Not that I'm not successful in my professional career, because most people would go, you're doing pretty good.
Right.
Just keep coasting through life and, live with your
Make a lot
HOA
of
and have
money,
the neighborhood
got
barbecue
Tires
once a month.
75.
And, yeah, you're doing great
Right.
and stuff like
You
that.
work
But
with like the top company in the world.
Yeah, top
Yeah,
tech companies, something like that, right?
Yeah, gorgeous, good shape, all that good
like
stuff,
going for you.
beautiful
Yeah.
wife, nothing
His
but
head's
boys.
getting bigger, guys. I
Yeah.
can see it.
Nothing but
Yeah.
boys.
No, but honestly, and I think what's funny though is what's really charging me on that stuff, and what really got me fired up was I think there's a lot of men out there that feel the same way but aren't doing it. You know what I'm saying? They're not saying anything, but they feel the same way because they don't know how to express it. So for me, it was more of a pissed kind of thing, and I knew that Cam was going to be in the fold somewhere, and that's why, but our conversations while we were sitting in there eating those unbelievable tots with that sunny side up egg on
All right,
top
don't
of
eat
it
them
and
so
that, and that
fast.
pork belly.
Don't rub it in.
It was great, dude.
Unbelievable.
It was
Cam,
awesome.
We
You
gotta
know what?
bring-
I'm gonna go to lunch tomorrow by my damn self.
and then a nice cold beverage that was
water.
sitting right next. It was
Oh, yeah.
outstanding.
A lot of froth.
Best water.
But
Good.
when we were talking, it was very
Frothy water.
organic, and it was like, you know what? And I think you mentioned the podcast.
Yeah,
thing.
Yes,
dude,
you
this
did.
would make a phenomenal
You were like,
pod.
dude,
People
you
need
have
to
any
hear
idea?
this.
We were
Yeah.
thinking about the
Conversations.
name, but now it was before. But you didn't go into this elaborate detail that you just did. It was more like I got something,
Yeah,
on my
something's
heart,
on my heart.
and that was it.
God's calling me
So-
to do something.
Yeah,
We're
And
like, well,
you can't
what?
say something like that around me. I'm digging. I'm digging.
Especially
So,
around Wilson.
Yeah.
yeah.
I started digging. It's like, what's going on? So, and the
He had a
reason
tail,
why,
it'd be wagging back there.
and the reason why is I was kind of still feeling the same way as you were. I not necessarily in a piss matter. It was more like, what's next? We're killing it in these different arenas, but what's next that we can give back?
Starting to feel a little
And-
average because you're reaching you're killing it and all of us were. I mean,
Yeah.
growing
In our own pools.
individual professions and things like that, family lives, all that kind of stuff. But it's like that next level. We were talking about it earlier, like when it gets uncomfortable again. And uncomfortable for us is different than uncomfortable for most. Uncomfortable for us is when it gets too comfortable.
Right.
That's right.
If that
Right.
makes sense.
We need
right?
more.
It's like it's too.
Yeah.
It's like it's easy now.
Right.
That's not
Yeah.
good.
It's a great way to
Absolutely.
put it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I
You
didn't
start
want to be
getting hungry.
stagnant. And I knew that having that accountability is why I was trying to get to that point. Because if you're reading 2 books, 3 was it 2 or 3
3
books?
books in 2
3
weeks.
books in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I mean, that's a lot of books. You know,
weeks?
I don't know how to count, guys.
But-
I need to go back to grammar.
2.
Or, well, I don't even know what to say.
My
So
name's
anyway,
Jeffrey, and I'm 3
I'm
years
saying
old.
grammar over here. I need to go back to math
I don't know
school.
if this is my hands.
I need to go. I don't know what to do with my hands.
So
I need to go back to grammar school and learn my numbers.
yeah, exactly. You mean what I know? Yeah.
Just so people know, we're recording this in the state of Tennessee, so that tells you everything.
Yeah,
about
right.
there you
That's
go.
right.
There you
I'm
go.
not very educated. But so seriously, on a note that I was looking for something more,
Yeah.
and when you reached out, it was like I was already
Here it
willing.
is.
I was
Yeah.
already going, and then you said that I was like, okay.
It was so weird, man,
Did you
because it
say
was
it
just
like
like, okay, there it is.
But
and his signature.
But it felt right. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, yeah, definitely. Like, everything fell into play. I don't know. It was so cool how everything has come together so far. Because, it started with, I need to shift my mindset. Who can hold me again? I can't just be like, I'm going to do this. Because I'm not, admittedly, whatever, I am not disciplined enough to read 3 books in 2 weeks. I've never done. It's never done.
Well,
Not saying I
not many
would
people
never
are.
do it, or I was never going to. But I would have given myself breaks. So I'm like, okay, who do I know it's not going to give me breaks? Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh yeah, Josh and Chris. No, So I reached out. There's a text. I'm going to read these in 2 weeks. You got a new thing going on. Keep me accountable, please. And you're like, hell yeah, dude, we're all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just nuts. And then with the lunch, and then Josh drops his thing. I got good. I remember getting goosebumps with that. Like he did that, and I was like,
yeah, I was there with you, man.
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
I think you guys honestly got the goosebumps because I was pissed.
Yeah.
Because
well, you ate so fat, even getting you the tots.
no.
well, I was
Seriously,
so
hogged it all.
it was that ravaging
Still the
thing.
tots. We're
I
still
think
on
a
the
lot of it. I think a lot of it had to do with just stuff that was going on in our country. Just the politics.
God.
And I don't care what side of the fence you sit on. The bitching and griping and stuff like that. Like if
That's
you
not
tell
what it's supposed to
somebody
be about.
oxygen's good on the other side, they'll hold their breath till they die, kind of thing. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like be an individual. Stop letting people tell you how you should think.
Grow a set.
Absolutely.
That's
Exactly.
And we talked about the women get mad at guys for opening the doors for them. And it's just it's a respect.
Not my
thing.
wife.
No.
Yeah, not my wife either.
either.
But it's not necessarily expected. But we do it because we respect women and like you said,
It's not a
women are
chauvinistic
important.
thing. It's a respectful thing.
Women are
Yeah.
necessary.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
like
Necessary.
legitimately. And for
Like-
anybody that's confused by that, we can have a whole nother conversation.
We're never
But-
that-
That could be a side shoot.
Yeah.
We're going to do
Yeah.
a whole 5-second
Reproduction
segment.
is-
yeah. Women are.
We're going to tick people off right off the out of the
whatever.
gate.
Right.
Not the right.
Men respect women because they are important.
Yes, absolutely.
Real men
Real
respect
men.
women.
They're necessary, and women are not going to settle for a guy that's not a real man.
No,
Yeah,
they
not looking
shouldn't.
at you in the
Well,
eye.
that's a good point.
They
I mean,
should
we can get
not
off on a
settle
whole
for a guy.
soapbox about that and how society has turned
Yeah.
men and
Yeah, so let's
jokes
get back
and
to on the-
da-da-da-da.
on
So,
task.
yeah,
You gotta
and
use
we will
your
get
line.
there. Don't you worry.
Seriously,
We're gonna hit
guys.
them all. We're gonna hit them all.
Yeah, you got to use your line.
There's a
So we
lot
had
to come.
solidified. We
Seriously,
solidified that
guys.
we're going to do a podcast.
Yes.
And after we solidified we're going to do a podcast, you had brought. We had spoken, I think, before that.
So I had gone to this. I had gone
That's what I was
to
gonna
a
get to
business
right here.
event, which was with some people that I have huge respect for and have been associated with for years, and particular a couple of things there. Chris was at the same event actually. Or Wilson was at the same event, and there was just some things there that were already churning in me, not even knowing about any of this. And as I left that event, JP specifically was on my heart a lot. And so I reached out to you and called. I was driving for probably 8 or 9 hours. I don't know how long we stayed on the phone, probably an hour at least.
It was a good while.
Yeah, it was a good while. And we had not talked in a little bit, probably a few months, I guess. And it was just a very like I started saying some things, and then I could tell that he was on the other end, like not just hearing it, but receiving it. And then he was telling me some things back, and he kind of mentioned what y'all had talked about a little bit, but it was just kind of one of those things where it was wild, like, I can't believe you're telling me this because of this, this, and this. And then I was thinking a lot about and I think I called you like the next day or something maybe, or I might have called you that night when you hit me back or something. Whatever it was, within a couple of days we talked. And the only reason I had not called Wilson is because we were talking on a pretty, like, almost every day or every other day basis at that point. And so I felt like we were a little more in the loop with, and we had been at the same event and whatnot, but I hadn't talked to these guys in a while. So once I had those conversations, I mean, honestly, for me, it's kind of the same thing. It was like, something's happening here. Something big is really going on here. There's no way that I'm feeling like there's a higher calling on my life, to have an impact and to really go out there and talk some truth, which we were doing. We just weren't doing it at the level that we could do it. And then to hear the story about how all that came together, and you guys talking about the podcast that y'all were talking about doing, and then essentially what happened from there, because I think it was like the next week y'all had, or the week before y'all had the lunch. Within a couple of weeks of our conversations, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a few weeks.
I think it was about a month.
Maybe a
We
month.
all got together. Yeah.
We all got together because I think
'Cause you
eventually what
called
it
me
came down
officially.
to was
Yeah.
we need to get together.
Yeah.
Like we need to all be in the same room and start talking and see what's going on.
But you at that point had no idea that
I had no
us
clue what
three
was
were
going on.
already kind of coming up with some stuff, and we were laying the groundwork in that
Yeah.
3-4 week time frame.
Yeah.
And then when we got together, we started chatting about it, and I could see him over there just stewing. Like he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh man. And and it was really cool to see how our story came about, because like we can go a lot of detail. There's a lot of thin threads like just kind of laid out perfectly. And then throughout this entire process, all of us were talking about this movement and how many people are out there like desperate for this stuff. needing this stuff. And heck, moms and sisters and everybody else out there saying, dude, yes, we need more men in this world that stand up. So that's our calling. That's our movement.
Yeah, and then there's been all the little pieces too. Not to cut you off about just like what I mean. We got an incredible production guy. He's going to go by Oz.
We're going to call him by Oz.
But it's just been. I mean, truthfully, and I know he didn't want to be called out, but the fact is, there's been so many little things that have come together. Just again organically, not to overuse that word, but it's the truth, that have just been natural and fit completely together. And we understand that it couldn't have been done just by us, and we know that there is a higher calling for the movement of shepherds of men, right? Not in any individual that's in this room right now, but the movement of shepherds of men. There is a higher calling for that is going to have an impact generationally and globally, and we all believe that. We know it's true.
This is a movement to tell men out there, it's time for you to stand up.
Yeah,
it's time for you to what Cam
Stole
said.
My freaking line.
No, you got it in that time.
Yeah.
You were going to let him take
got
it
it
for
in.
you.
Yeah,
But also, like what you always say, stiffen your back.
yeah.
Freaking
Speak with your chest.
stand up. And one thing in
Your
particular,
lack of backbone is offending me
Yes.
right now.
Yeah,
Lack
Yeah,
of-
I'm offended by your weakness.
Oh, the fish handshake. I
Oh
can't
my
stand
gosh,
it.
I was about to talk about
Oh
that. Yeah.
my gosh, dude! Are you alive?
Seriously. And do you have nuts?
Yeah. Do you have a heartbeat?
So I could sit here for the rest of the night and talk about situations where I've talked to women that have talked about men not being men anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, just and that's for a whole nother episode, but it's
Get
crazy.
the wives in here on that for sure.
Dude, yeah,
sure.
we did at one point.
And we should probably mention that,
And
yeah.
we
So,
should
so why don't
totally
we
do
talk about where the name came from?
that. Okay.
Like why shepherds of men? Why we decided shepherds of men? Let's give them a little insight on that. So you want to start with that because I know you like the shepherd idea because they're fluffy and soft. And
No, that's the sheep.
That's the sheep.
Oh, the sheep.
Yeah.
That's the sheep.
That
I
was
got
from
you.
a college
Okay.
experience he had.
Yeah. No, my bad.
So-
No, I'm just messing with
So
you.
it went through several phases, actually. I think it
That's what
started
they all
with
say.
O talking about being a
Sheepdogs.
sheepdog.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was their
And we-
original name was sheepdogs. And we're like,
Sheepdogs.
oh, crap,
Well, that's
that-
obviously
that.
taken in
Big
a lot of different aspects with military and things
Yeah.
of that sort. So
As it should be.
we found that would be out there, but we still like the idea of the sheepdog mentality and what it stands for. If you haven't seen the Chris Kyle movie, you need to watch it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that piece, then it transitioned to men of
action.
Men of action.
Men of
That's
action.
it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't even know my own story here.
Bull.
Yeah.
Mwah.
So, men of action, meaning that we can't just talk about it. We've got to live it, breathe it, and do it.
Glass house mentality.
And glass house mentality. So it stretched all of us, I'm assuming, in this regard to say this. We're putting ourselves out there, guys. And whoever's listening or whatnot, that's what it's all about. Here we go. Going through puberty.
It's okay. We're all growing physically and emotionally.
We're all growing physically.
Yeah, we're all still
My wife
growing.
can
It's
attest to that.
okay.
It's okay.
Everything's good. But anyway, so it went from there, and that was obviously taken as well. So I just spouted out shepherds because I always think about somebody who is leading from the front. I think of a shepherd as being a person who is setting the standard for his flock, if you will, but being that example that other people can look at and be guided to. So you can actually look to this person and go, okay, that's what it is to be a man. Which is pretty cool. And at the same time, we were also talking about why a shepherd. I mean, that's if you think about what a shepherd does, I mean, they go after the whole flock. They take care of everybody. They make sure that they stand in the gap, if you will. And that's what this country needs is more men to stand up about what they believe and not be silent like what you were talking about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that don't have that example. Like Cameron said, out of this room, he's probably had the best example. I didn't have good examples in a lot of areas. I mean, there were times when I was shown, right, and I was told, but I had more negative examples of what not to do,
Right.
more so than what to do. And I found more of those. And Josh, I think you can relate to the Sioux, is what you were saying, and different athletes, stuff like that. I found that good example through the athletes I met growing up. I worked for the ECHL when I was in high school, found some phenomenal athletes through there. They were just good dudes, and were able to teach me different ways of doing things the right way. And then I had, coaches in high school that were absolutely phenomenal examples, male and female. But when I went home, I didn't necessarily have that good example, I had the bad example of what not to do. And that's tough, man, because and there's a lot. I know there's a lot of kids out there that are like that now, and that's the reason I was do what
more than ever.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, and that's the reason I was so on board with the Shepherds of Men idea. I'm like, dude, there's so many teens going into young 20s that need that true north to know, what is good. Because good to some people is beating their wife because that's all they've ever known.
Right.
They know something's wrong with it, but that's all they've ever known. So that's their version of good, right? Daenerys Targaryen, that's her version of good, burning down cities. So some people's house, their version of good is that not good thing. So the Shepherds of Men brand and movement is to provide that glass house mentality. Yeah, we're exposing ourselves, but we're showing what a good example is, and ultimately looking for other men that want to step up and provide that example in their communities.
Yep. And I think something that's important to mention, Josh, you're probably about to say the same thing as I am, is that we don't have it all figured out.
Right.
No,
right? We are fallible men.
No, we are human.
We are human. We understand that we don't have it all figured out. We know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. However, in that same breath, we are working every day to get better.
Yeah.
And we understand that it's the accountability of it, not just to each other, but to our spouses, to our kids, those kinds of things. So this is not like, hey, holier than thou, we got it and you don't. It's more we're learning along the way, just like you should be, And probably we've been learning a little bit longer than most people, so there might be some things that we could share that help you kind of skip some steps.
Well, I'd say we work harder at it.
We work harder
about
at it.
98%,
and we have to.
We take it
because
seriously.
I'll tell you, I'm not even speaking for you three. For me, I have to work hard at it every day, all day, because I know how flawed I am. I'm incredibly flawed. If I'm not working at it, I'm gonna slip.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
for
agree
sure.
with that
You
100%.
got it. And that's my favorite part about this whole thing is that we have to stay disciplined.
Yep.
We have to hold each other accountable. And that's why we are the four people we are. And that's why we chose each other to do this, is because we have no problem calling each other out.
But if you think about that from a bigger picture, the whole reason that this was started is because that doesn't happen in society.
It does not.
That no longer happens. I have literally watched other men do some shady stuff and just let it go.
Yep.
And that's what I'm talking about, being silent. Like, sometimes people need to be punched in the face. I'm not talking about people need to walk around and punch people in the face.
No.
But, man, there's some things
But
like...
occasionally it's required.
Yeah, but like when we were talking about like the cart thing for the integrity, when you're at the grocery store and you see some punk take the cart and push it up against the curb
to 'em.
over there, and the cart corral is 2 slides over over there. Instead of pushing it over there, somebody should have went up and went, "Hey, listen,
The reason
walk
they're
your
doing this
happy
because
ass
nobody
over
ever
there."
told them they're supposed to.
Yeah, walk your happy ass over there and put it in there." I saw an old lady, like she had to be in her 80s, did good to move, took her cart and walked. I bet it was probably 50, 60 feet to put her cart up, and then took her time and walked back to her car and stuff like that. And that kind of stuff, like, just infuriates me when I see a young kid that's 22 years old.
Kicks it up.
Guarantee you that lady had a husband that did that every time.
Probably.
Right?
Yep.
That set the example for his family, and he's probably passed on or whatever. Maybe she was just by herself for the day. But the fact is, that generation, and then you could go back, obviously, and some people will be like, "Oh, it's different now." And no, bullshit, it's not different now.
Not.
No.
Like,
The values are.
The values are
Yes.
different, but
Yeah.
the values shouldn't be different because it's still the same. The principles are the same.
Right.
And we're going to get on some soapboxes here for sure, and we're going to get passionate about it, but it's true. And that's some people think that's a silly example about a shopping cart. Like, what does it matter? Dude, it freaking matters.
Yeah.
I will tell you that in my experience, now, I got to be careful with this because I just do, but there's one of the largest retail establishments in the country that is known for not necessarily endorsing strong men, is one of the top places that grocery carts or shopping carts are all over the place.
Yeah.
Now, you can think that's silly,
How about that?
but I think that is just a par for the course.
It equates. Yeah.
Because you can try to walk out, after you check out, you can walk out and every cart is everywhere. Even on the way out, there's a place to put them. Like, you can walk 2 feet to your left and slide it in there. Instead, everybody just lets go and just keeps walking. Why?
Get back.
Well, I think there's a mentality of, I don't know what it is. I mean, they also, if they go to the coffee place that thinks the same way too.
I think it's an entitlement.
It's an entitlement. It's, it's that whole
Shouldn't
deal.
have to.
Yeah, I shouldn't have to.
do
Yeah, I
that.
shouldn't have to
Are
do
you
that.
kidding
But,
me?
but here's the
get paid
truth.
You guys
to do
got
this.
people that work
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah,
But here's
give
the
them
truth.
a job
Ridiculous.
to do. Yeah.
I would, and you guys know this too, but I was raised to, I'll tell you how it was in my house. And I used to think it was strict until I got older, and now I thank my dad every day. But it wasn't like I never had I shouldn't have to. It was like, boy, you better.
Yeah.
Right.
It's your responsibility. It's rights versus responsibility. That's what it always comes down to. And there's a group of people that think they have the right to get away with a bunch of dumb crap. And there's a group of men and women too, but specifically we're going to talk about men because we're not women, that take responsibility for their actions.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? For
How
every
long's it
piece
been
of it.
since you've been a
Every
woman?
piece.
Yeah. When's
You
the
said
last
what?
time?
When's the last time you were a woman?
It's been years.
Years?
But, I mean,
Long
I'm
time.
older than you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Barely.
So we don't
So you're out of that
actually know.
phase.
You look great.
No,
You
but
know, you look great.
that's an outstanding point though, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that you put that in there. And isn't that funny how the correlation
Yeah.
works
True.
in that?
Absolutely.
But on the flip side of that, like you said, you had a father that was like, "You're gonna do this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of it, in today's society, that kid that doesn't have a father that does that needs another man
Needs
that's in
somebody.
that
And that's
parking
why-
lot at that
tell
point in
him.
time to go, listen, take that cart and put it over there.
Why? Because you're supposed to.
Yeah, because
that's where it goes.
That's the right thing to do.
Because you're not a douchebag.
Right.
That's
because
why.
we leave places better than when we found them.
Well,
Yes.
because you're
Oh, yeah.
17 and that 10-year-old over there is watching you. That's
Exactly
what it ultimately
right.
comes down to.
Because
Yeah,
you're
you're
not
right.
a douchebag.
You're setting
You
the
are not-
example.
yeah.
Well, that goes back to what you were talking about, that 70, 80-year-old lady who did that. That's what Shepherds of Men is all about, is bringing that old school, what you were talking about
Yeah.
when we first met, is that gentleman code, that gentleman mentality back, so that's pretty cool.
Those those principles don't die.
No, they don't.
They don't go away.
Just like our Constitution.
That's stuff that stays. We've covered the name.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I just go back to the cart thing real quick? So if I
Yeah.
see a 75-year-old man not put it up, do I just deck the shit out of him? Or?
No,
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
75, you don't want to knock him out because
Okay.
they could
Okay,
die.
Right.
I will say
But a
this.
slap in the face or maybe like a good, like shake the shit out of him.
What about like a nipple twister or something?
Yeah.
Like you just
Okay.
go just
And if the guy's from California, he might need a punch.
Right.
He might need a punch.
All right, I will make one
man, I must have
one
been great
valid statement here on that.
Love you guys from
shopping cart.
California. Just-
Yeah.
It's true. You know it's true.
There's
But-
good people out there.
Yeah,
There's good people
There's
out there.
great-
It's just way
majority of them
smaller
are.
I
percentage.
think there's more
Believe it or
NorCal
not.
than it is.
Believe it or
SoCal.
not.
The majority of people in California are good.
I don't
believe
think
it or
we're ever gonna
not,
get
there
through
is
a
a
whole good one.
huge.
I think a lot of people
listen,
in California
hey,
don't
should
like
we
California.
let's say this real quick because I'm kidding. Listen, if you can't take us joking around and busting on your state, then you should probably listen to a different podcast.
You should probably find
Yeah,
another.
yeah,
but-
absolutely.
Find a different home.
Listen, I'm from Mississippi. I can bust on any state, and I mean, like, let's call it what it is. Again, I'll go back. We're not Arkansas, and that's all we got going for us. But the fact is, some background, just so people don't get their panties in a wad. And if you're wearing panties, you're listening to the wrong podcast too. But we're not all from Tennessee. We're not all from the South. Whatever your stereotype crap is, it doesn't apply here. I was born in Mississippi. I was raised there and in Florida. I lived for a very short period of time until I was allowed to leave in Illinois, which is just stupid. If you live there, you're an asshole. I mean,
whole
come on,
family is.
seriously. Like, no, I mean, ask anybody that lives there. They move.
Nope, yep.
So,
Yeah, they do.
But and then you guys tell where you are from because it's important that people understand that our input is not just from one region or just from one background or from one
true.
religion
Yeah,
or
it's very
from
valid
whatever.
point.
It's very, very valid that people need to understand where we're coming from. So
Yeah. So I'm Tennessee born, Vegas, California, Vegas raised. My dad was, born here, stayed here till I was 2.
Wait, you were raised in California too?
little.
This kind of hurts my feelings a little bit.
This is awkward. No. So I really don't remember much of California. I was so young, man. So I think I left California maybe when I was
You
4.
repressed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I repressed it. Yeah, I remember a lot of the beach and stuff, and we went back every summer, so a lot of it's mixed in my childhood. But before I turned 2, we left Tennessee. Dad was in the Marines, so San Diego area, and then from there, I think there was a time we came back to Georgia for a bit. I was in Stone Mountain, and then we moved
That's
back
gangster right
to
there.
California, or maybe back to California, or to Vegas at some point. A majority of my childhood was Vegas, I believe.
Vegas.
So Las Vegas, Nevada,
Nevada?
Nevada.
Nevada.
Who says
Not
that?
Nevada. People from
Nevada.
the South say Nevada.
Nevada is how it's spoken. Everyone from there will say it that way.
I'm really upset about
But
that.
Yeah,
I am.
that's
You say
kind of-
you say my
that's a
state
sensitive
right,
topic.
boy. You say my
Boy.
state right, boy. But
Is that how they say that out there?
no,
Person's
but
over there
so
trying
very
not to
different. But,
lie. I am.
and I graduated. I graduated high school in Palo Verde High School in Las Vegas, Nevada. Then I decided to come back to the home state, Tennessee. I was always pulled to be here, and probably because this is supposed to happen, I guess. To be honest, but it was like a call to wild, man. I had to come back. My entire family's here. My mom and brother are the only 2 that are out west still. But I love Tennessee, dude. It's hard to leave the green.
Beautiful
The
place,
mountains are
man.
gorgeous out west.
Beautiful
The
place.
mountains they're imposing, but they're majestic. but it's hard to beat the green and the beautiful and the laid
I mean, in
back,
my experience
slow.
over the last few years, people are moving here from all over.
All over.
creation.
I've
Everywhere.
met consistently
Tennessee's a good
5 people a day from California, consistently over the last month.
Well, you
5.
sell your
Have you
house
seen
and
their
you can
taxes?
buy.
Bro, oh my gosh,
Dude,
yeah, they're
you
buying
sell
mansions.
one house, you can buy like 10 over here. I mean, what are you
Yeah, I
talking
bought
about?
this block. I sold my 2-bedroom house in California. Bought this whole block of
Yeah.
houses.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's no joke.
Investing in all
Like
this stuff.
Northeast.
Yeah.
and,
So what about you, Josh?
California.
Okay, yeah. So my curiosity is when you're in Bigfoot country, how bad was that? Like when you went like shirtless running and stuff. Did anybody try to
Wow.
shoot you? Or
Yeah,
anything?
I'm actually not allowed to run through the woods naked
For those
because
of you
National
who can't see
Geographic gets involved.
Oh,
It's
that's
rough.
not a shirt that I was
Okay.
wearing.
Yeah, that is not a
That was
shirt.
not a shirt.
Although,
That's shirtless.
although when you shave your neck, it does look like you have a
does.
shirt collar right there. It's got the collar.
No shame.
That's outstanding. So
That's
anyway,
not
that's
even
called
hamburger meat.
testosterone.
That's like straight up. I don't know what that is. That's,
Yeah.
that's serious.
So this is JP. I think I'm the only damn Yankee out of this entire group here.
I
So
wouldn't no, that
hairless
doesn't
ape.
count.
I was Michigan born.
That's not a Yankee. That's Midwest.
It's not.
Midwest.
People in Michigan would not
Michigan?
classify themselves as a Yankee.
Yeah,
not
no,
a-
I wouldn't classify myself as a Yankee, but everybody here would.
Nah, nah.
Everybody
I
here
don't know about
classifies
It's a
me as
union
Yankee.
state.
Michigan's like the extension of Tennessee. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I moved down to North Carolina after that. Shortly after, just long enough to pick up a Southern accent because it doesn't take long to do that.
That's for sure.
And then I jumped up to New Jersey for a little while. Still don't know why we did that. That you want to talk about a dumpster fire? That is a rough spot.
We're
right
pulling
there.
them in like crazy.
Yeah,
here.
yeah. I'm gonna get like death threats now. But anyways,
But as long as you have some chapstick and some fist bumps.
that's
Good
got some
man.
hair gel. So then we moved back down to North Carolina for a little bit, and then made a huge move out west and hit Arizona. Loved Arizona. I was a big fan of that. Lived in Colorado, so I spent most of my elementary into my middle school life out west in Arizona and Colorado. Love the mountains. There's a certain aspect of summiting to me that is a big thing. It's a challenge to me. I see a mountain, and it's just like I got to get on top of the mountain. I got to be at the very top of it, and that's just a thing for me. So I've always loved the Rockies, not the baseball team, but the actual physical Rockies.
That's real
love
loyalty.
it. But moved to Tennessee going into high school. Love Tennessee, love the people here, love the culture. To be honest with you, the first time that I ever heard yes sir and no sir and yes ma'am and no ma'am was when I came here, and it's very infectious.
That's the
it
difference
is
between our childhood, because I actually was being taught that at the hospital when I was birthed. If I didn't say yes sir to the doctor, I was in trouble.
Yo, people are offended.
your ass. I'll
Yeah,
have another
that's why
sir.
you can't. Yes sir.
This time, put a little stank on it.
People are offended by that at West.
Yes,
I'm not old.
Yeah,
Don't call
North
me
too.
sir.
Up north too. Yeah.
What?
They get
I tell
upset
people
like
that.
they're old. You're not old. It's respectful.
Yeah.
Hey, yes, ma'am. I'm not old. Shut
Yep.
up.
Yeah.
So I've got to see the good and bad and everything. So I mean, I know we joke, but there's a lot of stuff out west that I absolutely love. You talk about an active group of people.
Oh, it's beautiful.
You get
I
out
mean,
west, there's so much to
great.
do. There's
There is.
active people out there, and then you come here. The culture is great. So I've really been blessed. A lot of people would say that, it's hard to move schools. I moved several schools,
Yeah.
so
Dude,
I went to new schools constantly. But
You grow from that stuff. I
you
experienced that.
absolutely
Yeah.
do. You go into a new school, you got to make new friends. You got to, you got to fight. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I fought every time I went to a new school. So I learned how to fight. By part of it, but.
It was like somebody actually picking a fight, or you just wanted to go in there and be a bully?
Yeah.
No. So the first couple times I got my ass kicked because I came in and they were like, "Oh, who's the new kid?" and stuff. And then you start working out and you start realizing, hey, you might want to be able to take care of yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And then you find the guy and you whip his ass and then you're done. You don't have to do
Bug
anything.
guy,
Right?
So you
Got the
worked out
biggest
before?
kid in the school.
So I've tried it, but no. So you get to see all sides of it, and it's for me it was a really good opportunity. So
I think the only native is Chris,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Like the only one which is kind of the par for the course for the state itself. I mean, nobody's from here.
Yeah, I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, is where I'm born and raised. And my dad lived in Dalton, and I went back and forth between
Georgia.
Dalton, Georgia.
Which is kind of
Which
where my
is-
wife's from.
Yeah, about 30, 45 minutes outside of Chattanooga, depending on who's driving. But yeah, it was just between my mom, single mom, for most of the time, and then my stepdad came in the picture, and then my dad remarried, and now he's single again. So
Y'all moved up here because Ashley, though, right?
yeah, we
Like,
moved
she's
up to
from-
Middle
she's
Tennessee
from this
because of
area, yeah.
Ashley. She's from the Middle Tennessee area, Murfreesboro. My family originally, though, are from Chicago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
so
Polish,
all,
right?
All of them are Polish. They came over the seas, and
Tell them not to be offended by my
Yeah, but
current
the
statement.
nose
My previous
says
statement.
Jewish.
I'll take all the Polak jokes.
Polak.
I'm definitely probably in that somewhere.
There's
No,
great
you
hot
got Jewish
dogs there,
in you,
though.
dude.
Huh?
Your
Jewish?
nose.
Jewish is there
Polish.
in somewhat, but it's mostly Polish.
Jewish is not a nationality.
Oh, it's
Oh,
religion. That's my
Yes.
bad.
But some people confuse that.
They do.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mississippi's
See,
not
I'm
a
learning something
nationality
new. I
either,
always thought that was part of your
that's I stand
but
corrected.
it kind of is.
Me too.
Poland.
Yeah.
Or were
But
the
Poland is where my family
Polish
came
people come
from.
from.
Yeah, they had
Polacks,
Squamski and they had all this other good foods and stuff.
Schlotzky's?
My two
Schlotzky's
No,
Deli.
Squamski.
That place pretty good.
Squamski, something like that. My mother's great
Right.
grandmother, I guess, or mother, she was like full Polish, could speak Polish, couldn't speak English. When they came here, they couldn't speak. My grandfather
Typical.
moved from Chicago. He was a sales guy. That's where kind of what led me to sales. He did about $1 million with the company that he worked for. Then the company had a extension down in Chattanooga that had manufacturing and all that kind of stuff. And they said, hey, if you bring your sales tactics down here, we'll give you full sales rights. You'll be a partner. We'll do your manufacturing. He made $1 million when he first moved. So he's been a millionaire since he was 35, 36. His wife took about 4 or 5 years to convince to get to Chattanooga.
That's killer.
Just for clarity, he did not give you any of it. Though.
No, zero. 100% was gone.
Also important that everybody understand that anything that
All
we
this
have
is
accomplished and will accomplish moving forward is because of our own efforts and blessings and
Yeah.
accountability, and nobody's handed us shit.
We're all
So,
self-made.
Yeah.
All self-made.
handed me shit.
You
Huh?
handed
I've
yourself.
handed me shit.
I've handed me a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
handed me
I
shit.
handed it,
Like
I handed it to
straight
myself
from the-
every day.
No, not like monkey shit. No, that kind of shit. No.
You got to clarify, dude. You don't
Yeah.
know.
So I think that's cool though, because and that's a valid point, and I appreciate you bringing that up because
I appreciate
you
you appreciating me.
There's people that, like you said, would be like, oh, it's a bunch of Southern guys that are just Southern values,
Silver
but it's
spoon.
silver
Nah, we're all
spoon, like
over.
somebody, a bunch of guys, but it's cool, a bunch of different backgrounds. I know you worked your rear end off in the restaurant industry to realize that. I'm good at this, but this isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life, kind of thing. And I think we all batted around some different stuff. I know.
Well, I think our work ethic was what brought us all together because
Well, we had a work ethic in different vehicles because we were trying to accomplish something. We had the work ethic, but it didn't work.
right.
Right? It's just a higher calling.
Yeah, I
than
know when
just
we
having a
first
job.
met, that was one thing that appealed
Yeah.
to me. Is like, oh, he's not a slouch. Because
Yep.
I have no respect for somebody who can't go do something for themselves.
Well,
Well, when your dad makes you run a chainsaw when you're 10 years old, it's hard to be lazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
and we have a great work ethic, but we all take pride in our work.
Yeah.
I think is a big thing too, and that's not something that can necessarily. I mean, you can't teach that necessarily.
Well, I think it's more of your name.
Yeah, it's
and
your
I don't-
personal brand.
I don't. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
our brand, our name. My last name may not mean a lot to my dad or somebody else, but and he cares about his name too. But not to say anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, for me, my name was everything, and I don't even know who instilled that in my head. But I'm glad it's there because one thing is a lot of people don't care. They'll go and cheat and do any kind of deal that they can just to make a buck, and they don't care that they're like throwing their name in the mud and that they will never be trusted again. You can't. You get trust one time.
Yep.
When you meet me, I automatically trust you until you
Right.
lose that
Yep,
trust. And
I
you lose that
completely
trust,
Yeah, some
agree.
people
you're
have that
never
backwards.
getting it back.
Yep.
That's true.
Never
I'm glad
getting
you. Some people think you have to earn that. No, like you should. Like just naturally, there should be trust and respect and those kinds of things until you screw it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Then you have to earn it back. Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah,
it
it's hard to
probably
get-
never comes
Almost
back.
impossible.
So-
yeah.
But with respect though,
I'm gonna
it's also
challenge that a
given
little
it.
bit.
in
Well, I
the
have no
beginning.
reason to not trust you. I
I'm
guess
gonna-
is what I'm trying to say. I have no reason to not trust you until you
Until
do
you
something stupid. So I'm not saying I would trust you implicitly, like with my
Right.
children.
So that's not the
Right.
part that I disagree with.
Oh, okay.
So I agree
But it
that
has
you
to be
trust
earned
from the
daily.
very beginning. But I believe respect for me
Oh, yeah,
personally
okay,
has
gotcha.
to be earned.
I mean,
Oh,
like
yeah.
a natural, a surface level
yes.
respect,
Yeah.
like holding a door open.
yeah,
Yes, sir, no, sir, that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
now I'm
Not-
going to trust you
Trust is
until you screw me over, and then
Yeah.
and then it's probably the best thing that. So what I always said was, when I used to loan people money because I was always very good with my money because I earned
Stupid.
every dollar I made.
you
So I was always really good with my money, and it wasn't
I know
drug
some of
money.
those stories.
So, but I used to loan people money all the time, and my thing, I used to tell people, if you don't pay me back, I'm not worried about it. It's the best money I've ever spent. because I'll never loan you $1 again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that it's the best money I've ever spent. And that's something that I have learned from a father figure that I've had in my life, and it was a financial standpoint that I learned. But back to like what you were saying, I was raised by a single mother for the majority of my life. Never had a father figure, but everything that I found was putting that puzzle of what a man is together, which is what I want this to end up being. And I believe it will, because we all bring different areas to the table from what we've learned or experiences or whatever it may be. But that's something that I didn't have. I didn't have something to look at, but it was a benefit for me because I wasn't stuck in a mold, right? It wasn't like, oh, there's my dad, that's what I have to be like.
Right.
For me, it was like Michael Jordan, I can play basketball.
Yep.
You know, like when I was little, I mean, to be honest with you, as a child with no father in the house whatsoever, but you go one of two ways, right? You either blame the fact that your father isn't there and you start being a shithead, or you start searching for something greater.
Yeah.
And I went the opposite side of it because I knew there was something good out there. Because I saw people that did well, and I was always attracted to that. And I always looked for it outside of it, and not trying to get too deep, but that was kind of.
I think it hits on a good point. Like society, you know, society is so quick to blame circumstances, right?
Sure.
And like you can crush any of those rationalizations in a heartbeat by picking one person that was in the same circumstances that made it. Right? And it's because they had a different attitude, they had a different mentality, they chose to go out and seek mentorship or seek some kind of relationship or accountability or something, whatever it was. They did not let their circumstances allow them to, or they didn't let their circumstances determine how their life was going to turn out. They decided they knew what they wanted to be, and they just had to figure out how to get there.
Wait, are you suggesting that they weren't looking for sympathy?
Exactly.
Right.
And I'm suggesting they weren't just existing.
That's an idea.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think there's more examples out there than certain outlets let out.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's easier for them to blame.
Are we about to start busting on specific news channels?
No,
Yeah, that's a great point. We
but I mean,
stop
totally
watching
there.
the news.
Yeah.
Because every
All
day
news channels.
the sky is falling every day.
Negative
It's ridiculous,
sales,
but-
guys. Everybody's negative, and that's what it is. We need more people being positive. And if
Yeah.
you are negative centric, then you need to get out of that stuff.
you gotta
and get
change your
around people
friends.
that are going to be positive.
I absolutely agree.
Period.
I mean, in a sense, and just to help wrap things up here, because I think I don't want to get too long in conversation, but and save some stuff, some good, great content for another time. Is the Shepherds of Men? There's a group of guys that really just want to help other guys reach that next level, help other guys realize there's examples out there that you can follow, help guys realize that you don't have to be a. Jeez, I'm trying to be serious, okay?
I'm listening.
man.
I'm listening.
That you don't have to be, you don't have to wallow. You know, you can. There's examples out there. You have access to mentorship to become the best example to your family and friends that you can be.
It is available, even if you didn't have a dad. Even if you didn't have a grandfather. It doesn't matter. It's there.
Look for it.
Google
Ask
it.
for it.
Truth is out there.
I mean, I literally had no dad in my life. I had a financial advisor when I got older.
Yep.
But that was really where it was at. There was no love there. There was none of that stuff. And you can find it.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal is to put it in one
I'll love
spot.
you.
Correct.
Oh, I know you do. But.
Well, and help people
love you
find
too.
truth in those things, because
understand.
it is what's missing and it is what's needed, and it is a responsibility. And,
Yes.
if you're listening to this and you're a guy, there is a responsibility for you that is different than there is for a woman. That's just how it's made.
Your
right?
role's
And
different.
Your role is different, and there
Sure.
are things that you are supposed to do.
You were created equal, but your role is
Yep.
different.
Exactly
I
right.
100%
Exactly right.
agree with that.
And that's what we're here for.
And a woman, there's things she's supposed to do. That's not a chauvinistic thing. That's not what we're just different.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
it's
there's
okay.
not. No.
It's great.
Accept
It's
the difference.
It's
okay.
actually great.
Right? And but to be what a real man is hopefully what we hope to
Discuss later.
unpack and help people understand and find. And we don't have all the answers, but we're going to help people go in the right direction, hopefully.
We don't intend to
absolutely.
have the right answers, right? I
No.
mean,
No,
sometimes you got to be a billboard, right? You got to
Yep.
point to where they need to go. I mean, go
Absolutely.
to exit 54. Like, you got to find it for yourself.
And we're going to put that out. We're going to have content in many places as we can. We're going to build a platform as big as we can because we believe in the truth that we're speaking, and we believe that it's necessary for society. So, however that needs to be communicated and however it needs to be passed along, that's what we're going to do.
And that's the Shepherds of Men, and this is the movement. Welcome.